Good evening and welcome to another broadcast episode of Employ to Innovate, brought to you by Arrays of Living. I'm Jen Drakes, and in this episode, I am sitting with Elizabeth Vincencio, who I will be referring to throughout the discussion as Betsy. She prefers to be called Betsy. And Betsy is Vice President, CFO, and partner of the Northeast Group of companies located in Plattsburgh, New York. Now, over Betsy's 36 years, Betsy's experiences have taken her from privately owned large and small corporations to U.S. government contracts and include an entrepreneurial personal business failure. Who hasn't dealt with this if you're a true entrepreneur? Her outcome driven. She is hardworking, perseverant, and dedicated to success. Today's episode is called Rise Up, Making It Better. And that title was inspired because Betsy's diverse experiential skill set provides foundation to living the mantra, making it better. Hello, Betsy, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Jen, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And we had a conversation before obviously coming here that really enthused me because of the many things that you're doing. So why don't you take a moment to just catch us up? You do a lot of volunteer work and you're on a number of boards and community organizations. So tell us a bit about that and why we're here.
All right. Well, Jen, let me see what I can do. I guess I want to start and talk about our company, the Northeast Group of Companies, and we are a small family-owned company. 42 years. This company's been in
Wow.
existence in the Plattsburgh area, and over the course of time, we've had to bend and flex and change, I think, to accommodate the needs and services that I think that our community needs, but also to find a way to grow and develop and become a great community partner for our region.
Mhm.
So we have two facets of what we do. Our day business is what we call it. We're in the commercial printing and mailing business, but the largest portion of our day business is our fulfillment and warehousing operation, where we provide warehousing and pick and pack services primarily for Canadian importers bringing their goods in through the Port of Montreal. We house their products here, inventory, quality control, pick, pack, and ship, and deliver to the U.S. customers. That provides us, between printing, mailing, and fulfillment, that provides us an opportunity to employ almost 100 of our neighbors in our business throughout the course of the year and give them an opportunity to work.
Mhm.
One of the things in our day business I think that we're most proud of, and part of once again the underpinnings of making it better. My business partner, the president of the Northeast Group of Companies, Mike Carpenter, has been in recovery for more than 33 years. And because of his connection to the recovery community, 93% of the people that work for our company are people that are in some form of recovery, which has been probably I'm going to say one of our greatest successes, the
Mhm.
opportunities we've afforded people in our community that come from substance use disorder, domestic violence, poverty, just coming out of prison, that need somebody to give them a chance after they have had some challenges in their life. Our company has become known as a great place for people to really get a chance to start again.
And
Um,
that is so fundamental. You touched me when we talked about it offline, and you're touching me again because I see so many um, coming from varied backgrounds, whether it's immigration, whether it's a particular personal destitute, even divorce sometimes.
yeah.
Um, Never mind when you then talk about substance, dependencies plus imprisonment, another huge hurdle to be uplifted from. And many times these people need opportunity.
Mhm.
right?
They absolutely.
And I see it all the time in youth and everything. They just need that opportunity. But sometimes even the job descriptions have closed the door before they even started, right? Before they can even take a breath to put down and say, how should I structure my resume? They feel already the door has been slammed just by the way sometimes the job descriptions are posed. So to know that you have that kind of arm to be able to, reach out and give these individuals opportunity and to see it successful. I think that's the message really that we want the audience to hear, is that for you guys it has been a success. So it is doable. It is achievable.
It is. I think if we have a moment, Jen, I want to one of our employees, one of our actually two of our key leadership employees have an amazing story that I'd like to share, which I think demonstrates what our company's commitment is to really working with people to help them change their lives.
Mhm.
We had a young couple that came to us through a temp agency. Seasonally, we'll bring in workers that come through a temp agency, and they work for us for some period of time. After the season ends, the best workers will offer them to have a full-time position working for our company. So this one young couple came to work for us. They were two people. One had been recently released from prison, or from jail, not prison, and he was facing federal charges for trafficking drugs across state lines, and was potentially going to be serving 20 to 40 years in prison for drug trafficking. His wife, also, although she didn't serve time, also was under arrest and was on probation. They had lost their children, and they were living in a motel in our town, awaiting the husband's sentencing hearing down in Utica, New York. These two people worked incredibly hard. They worked on their recovery. They worked on getting their lives back together. They rented a small apartment after we offered them a full-time job, began to work within the system to get their kids back to do all the things they needed to do, whether it was attend meetings and counselors and probation, all of the programs that they could do. And for us, our job as the employer was to provide them the platform to be able to do that without penalty to them as an employee, right? If you have to go and meet with your probation officer at 10 o'clock in the morning, well, it's not like it's a 15-minute meeting. And especially if you don't have transportation because you lost your driver's license, you probably have to call the taxi at 8:30 to get to your meeting at 10, and it's probably going to be noon before you get back. And so you end up missing half a day of work. And if you
Right.
have to do that every week, it's really challenging for both the employee and the
And
employer.
the employer, exactly.
So we both need to work collaboratively to figure out how to make that work for somebody. So these two people were great such great humans, and they were throwing everything they had at it to try to get their lives together, partly because they thought that the husband was going to go off and serve 20 years in prison, and partly because they knew they were on the path to get their lives together. When the court hearing came up down in Utica, they asked us if we would write a letter on behalf of them. They had become key employees in our company. They had gotten their children back from DSS. They were just living really a beautiful life. So not only did we write a letter to the judge, my business partner actually drove to Utica with them and
Mhm.
sat in the courtroom and testified on his behalf. The federal judge that sentenced him said that never in his time had he ever seen an employer show up at a hearing to advocate on behalf of somebody facing the charges that this young man did, and gave him 5 years probation in lieu of any jail time. So let's fast forward a couple of years since then. This couple in 2019 purchased a home in our community. They work with other members, both in our staff and in our community, on recovery. They're leaders in our company. They're leaders in the community. They've just been a testament to what can happen if you just work to help somebody make it better, right? Make their
Yeah.
life better. And it's been a beautiful thing to watch. It's
Hmm.
been a beautiful thing to see that people that were drug addicts. I mean, they were both drug addicts. They were IV using drug addicts that lived a really rough life,
Hmm.
and they have made this complete shift in their lives to be just amazing contributory members of society, and our business relies on them now. They're key people in our organization. It's
And I love the fact that you're saying too that they're taking their experiences and becoming peers for others and giving them the guidance and and the benefit of their lived experiences to help. So that also is a testament to what there is at the core of their hearts. And it is a beautiful story.
it,
It really is.
it can happen for, and
Mhm.
these are just people that have experienced some real challenges in their lives, and so for us, for our company, this is the heart and soul of what we do. We can say that we're in the warehousing business, or we can say we're in the printing business, but we're in the people business. We're in the business of helping lift up our community, and the only way we're going to lift up our entire community is if we're putting our hand out to those people who
Absolutely.
need opportunity the most, and not just in words and in actions.
And
And
that's why we say rise up, rise up, because we all have the potential to do this. We all have the potential to help. And it's just a matter of how you craft the help and to what degree. Now let me ask you this, because I know there's going to be people out there with the thought, and they'll probably put comments on the show. But to is it always roses?
oh,
Or you know what I mean? They're gonna go, "Oh, that sounds like a beautiful story," but I'm sure over the years they've had some that didn't work out. You know how it goes. So let's
oh,
get that out of the way early on. It is not always roses, correct?
it is so true. For every success, there is probably two times as many people that struggle, and have setbacks. And we've seen our fair share of people that have not had a beautiful outcome, like this one couple that we speak about.
And
And then
what's the impact on the company when that happens? Like, is it just a matter of, lifting up your shoulders and go, we continue, we stand behind that individual, and they might go back to rehab, or they might think, so what does that look like for the company that's trying to do this?
So for us, this is the work, right? This is
Mhm.
what we do. It is, at times, it's devastating to have somebody who you've seen go so far, somebody who may relapse, whether it's substance use disorder or mental illness.
Yeah.
And there is so much more, Jen, as you know, prevalence of mental illness.
Mhm.
Everybody is struggling with some form of mental
Oh,
illness at this point, right? Right? We
yes.
all are.
And in fact, I've always believed, that because I've worked in healthcare for 15 years and continue to do my part in healthcare. I truly believe that, there is, like any spectrum, right? There's
Mhm.
extreme and there's light, but I believe everybody, as we live our lives, hits on that mental health spectrum at some point in time.
Sure,
So it's an everybody condition.
sure.
It just depends on to what extreme you are and on where you are on the spectrum. But we all encounter it, right? Like last in 2020, I went through some mental health related to the whole George Floyd, and having watched that video and all that, I didn't think I had mental health concerns. But let me tell you, that showed me that I did, and
Sure.
the aftermath and everything. So we all hit those times. It's just some go, some are more heavily on the spectrum and some aren't. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because I am one that and it runs in my family. We have a family member struggling with mental health, so I get it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so when we do get relapses for sure.
Sure. What's interesting, I think, of all the things that we provide here in our workplace, that
Mhm.
I think that many employers could adopt, is creating an environment and some space for people to be able to talk about whether it's a history of addiction, or a current struggle with addiction, or a history of mental illness, or a
Yeah.
current struggle with mental illness. We create some space to be able to have these conversations so that people don't bury their heads in shame. So many of societal ails cause us all great shame, right? Domestic violence, poverty, having a criminal background. We walk around with this, with carrying this black cloud of shame over our heads. And in our company, quite frankly, if you're not in recovery, or if you hadn't had some terrible problem, those are the cool kids in our company, the people that have really, the addicts, the people with mental health challenges. They're the cool kids, because it's who we are. It's who we are as a society. But in our company, it's allowed. It's allowed to raise your hand
And
and say,
that
you
is the
know,
key word, Betsy, it's allowed. Our society has built a society with one label after another. We try to label everything. And, to me, as I said, when you go through life, you hit on some of these things. You hit on anxiety, you hit on mental health sometimes. You hit on all of these types of conditions that are just, to me, normal as you go through, just depending on the experiences you're currently encountering, right? But we put a label on it, and we segregate, and we put people into these boxes and compartmentalize them. And that's where the shame comes from, right? Are you, you have mental health. Well, and I think if you talk to anybody about it, like just have a mental health discussion with 20 friends, you will find that more than half of them have touched upon some kind of mental health condition, if not for themselves, but in their family or in their friend circle.
absolutely.
So it's just stop the labels, I think is my message. Like,
Well,
stop.
or Jen, even more so than, I mean, if you name something and you give it, and you can have some honest conversation about what it is, and that it's not anything to be ashamed of, and that there are paths to not making your condition or your struggle your debilitation. You open a door to people to see where there are options, right? There's
Yeah.
options for help. There's options to change. There's a soft place to land, so
Man.
that, many people, they confront their challenges in the workplace, or it bubbles up to the surface. They'll quit their job, as opposed to having to confess their truth, to talk
You're
about
right.
what their issue is. And as I said, in our company, it's become an incredibly safe place, to talk about it. And we create an environment that makes that tries to help make them better. We try to create vehicles, whether it's access to counseling, or services, or meeting, or resources, to help partner with probation or parole, to make it easy for people to do what they have to do to get their lives together. Life's a hard enough push without having to, you don't have to fight with everybody, but it feels like.
And Betsy, I want you to explain to the audience, because it sounds from something you said earlier about one of your partners having had substance abuse and was dealing with that themselves. Did you just fall on this, or did it then become strategically part of what you do? Because I think right now it's very strategic, but it may not have been in the beginning. So maybe can you speak about that kind of life cycle and how you got here, and give some
Yeah.
sense to that?
Yeah, so I will have been with the company this January for 17 years.
Mhm.
And when my business partner and I, so we're Gen 2, his father and stepmother started this company 40 years ago. And so we're the next generation of this company. And when we came together and became president and vice president, took over the daily operations, we knew we wanted to change. We knew we wanted to change really the culture
Mhm.
of who we were, that we wanted it to be more of a reflection of Mike and I. And,
Mhm.
he comes from this long history in recovery, very committed to recovery. I come from a background both in business, but I spent a long time working for the Job Corps program, working with at-risk youth,
Mhm.
doing employment and job training, both on Job Corps campuses as well as in recruitment and placement for these people that were working to get their lives together after they've had a host of
Mhm.
societal challenges. And I had a different approach to human resources, that, human resources ought to be a resource. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? We as a company, if we're going to help grow our people, we want to make sure that we're providing with them with all the resources they need to make their life better.
Hmm.
And so we really, over the past 17 years, developed just a difference. We began to hire more people from challenged backgrounds. One, because, I think that over the past 17 years, societally, we've seen unemployment rates in our nation dropping, right?
Hmm.
For whatever host of
Oh,
reasons or
yeah.
conditions have happened over time. And now, as we're in the great resignation and this post-COVID world that we live in, the challenge with the number of people that are actually in the workforce still. But years ago, we did it because there was this whole group of people that were marginalized because they came from a background that was not acceptable in the workforce. And
Hmm.
so back 17 years ago, we said to our employment agencies, bring us the worst of the worst. Bring us the people that nobody wants to hire and give us a shot at giving them an opportunity. Those are the people we want in our organization. And we've really built our organization on that group of individuals, the people that were really struggled and challenging with finding their way back into the workforce and really getting a chance. And we've had some great success with that. Um, and as we've grown in our leadership roles in the company, we realize that this is the underpinnings of our purpose, right?
Hmm.
Is to help create opportunity for people to change their lives.
And that's why I wanted to have this discussion in December around the holiday period, because it's meaningful, right? And people's attention are in that kind of frame of thought to really grasp this and understand it. But what I'm urging the audience and the business owners as they start to formulate the kind of environments they want to create is to consider, because a lot of times businesses will have the view that they can't help extensively. You're proving, you're actually breaking the mold, and you're proving that you actually can help substantially. You just have to change your mindset. You have to look at traditional things a little non-traditional,
Mhm.
and and get in there and say, how can I structure the kind of environment that would please oneself, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I find with you, is that there's a peace around you, there's a tranquility around you, because you're in a business that you are proud of, but you're not proud because of the backing of the boxes or because of anything like that. You're actually proud because of the people,
Yep.
because of what you do, and that has put like a halo, I call it, around you, even though you may not see it in your speech, in your demeanor. There's a tranquility of soul with you. And I want the audience to really look at that. This is a CFO, a partner. This is not, this is someone actually taking hold and saying, this is something I want to do.
Mhm.
And this is what I want to upkeep. So we can do it.
Yes.
There's
Yes. Yep.
any business can do it if they set their gumptions in and say, how do we do it? Not should we do it, but how do we do it? And that's really what I want to send home. So kudos to you.
Thank
Here's
you.
something I'm going to ask you. What are you finding? Because one of my platforms is people innovation. I get fed up by hearing about technology innovation. And I have a technology background. I get the technology innovation, but my platform as a personal brand, as a host, as everything that I do is about people innovation, and that's really what you're talking about. And one of the things I want to ask, as a company, how are you finding loyalty? What
Yeah.
is your attrition rate doing what you're doing?
Yeah. So I will. So there's a this when you ask this question about loyalty and attrition, I will comment that there are many people who have come to work for our company, who we've really been just a stepping stone for them. We've been a soft place for them to land, to get some employment and some skills under their belt, and
Mhm.
they can then go off to do other things. I remember a young gentleman that came to work for us. He had lost his job and was trying to sell real estate, and his family had, he was just in a financial terrible strait. Very educated, smart guy, and he was just looking for a job, right, a place to come.
Mhm.
And um, he was struggling. He had some mental health issues because of really the failures he had experienced, and his wife was still in school, and his kids were young, and he came to work for us for about 7 years. And when he left us for a job where he could earn 2 times what he was able to make with us.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah,
And
wow.
we were so happy and
Happy.
so proud of him. We were happy for his family, and we were so proud of him being able to take what he had learned from working with us and the opportunities he had to grow, to get his really just to get his confidence back, to
Mhm.
get his juju back, and to be able to just get his feet underneath him, and to be able to launch his entire family to a new place. It's just amazing. So I think when he was part of our organization, he had great loyalty. And since he's gone to a much larger organization, that loyalty has continued. His new organization is a huge customer of ours. He has brought multiple opportunities for us to work with his new company, and it's been a beautiful relationship. So employees done right, loyalty is not just that you work for my company. Loyalty is that you don't forget from where you've come. Either
Come.
you take what you've learned and you use that in your next place,
Mhm.
or you create a partnership that lasts beyond just your time with us. These are
So
relationships.
Betsy, I'm here laughing internally because I love when you said you use this gentleman as an example, and you stated 7 years with you. I hate to tell you, 7 years is a loyal employee. Right? There's businesses that will be listening to you going 7 years, and that's what you're calling transition, because many of them have months, some have a year, some have 2 years.
Yeah.
If they can keep an employee 3 years, they consider that a win. And so I wanted to call that out because I thought it was so cute with you saying he was with us for
Yeah.
7 years. And
Yeah.
I was chuckling internally to go, Betsy, darling, 7 years is still a loyal employee.
So maybe that's a dramatic example of, and I think you're 100% right. 7 years is
That's
probably
amazing.
incredibly long for somebody to stay with a company nowadays. It does seem like the younger generation wants to
Or,
be a little bit more transient. They
yeah.
want to jump more quickly. And we've actually had some. We hired a young woman to do some marketing for us, and she stayed with us for a year, did everything that we asked of her, and we were so happy to have her launch to her next step too. So
Right.
we see some of what you're speaking of.
Oh, no, no. I just thought it was cute, and I wanted to speak because I'm sure when people look back on the replays, it's a lot of times we'll get then the feedback, and I'm sure some of them be shaking their head, going, "Sorry, here, so I'm not trying to get my employee for a year," and then we going, "Betsy, what are you smoking?" Right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to just throw that out there because I knew somebody will be thinking about it and going
Oh,
7 years. So I'm glad to hear. But the point is though that you are, because the environment though is so welcoming and so embracing. I like the fact that your employees are still very open about why they're there, kind of what they plan on doing, and you get a sense for when they will do. It's like healing a bird, and then you know what I mean, and then watching
setting
it
them
fly off
free.
and go on its own. And it's really a beautiful thing you're doing. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, thank you. We thank you, Jen. We're really trying hard. Like I said, there's the executive director of the United Way here in our community always says, when he starts a
Mhm.
meeting, or he's asked to say a blessing or a prayer, he says, all that we can take with us is that which we have given away. And so for a company like ours, I think it's important that what we have to give is opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That's what we have. And what do you do with the opportunities you have to give? It has to be more than a paycheck in the world,
Yeah.
right? It has to be a
And I
paycheck.
think that's what a lot of businesses are starting to realize,
Yeah.
that, and that's what COVID really, really frothed up to the top, is that there were a lot of substantially unhappy employees that were just sitting to collect a paycheck because they weren't being served back by the employer necessarily. So now that they have other options, right?
Yep.
We saw what happened. The
Yeah.
loyalty, many companies came to realize what they thought was loyalty actually wasn't loyalty. And
I
it's
can
really about connecting with individuals. That's what it's all about.
we met with our employees last week on Thursday before the Christmas holiday long weekend that we took, and in our talk, our thanks and our happy holidays to people, we said we know that everybody that works for this company can go to work for an employer down the street and make far more money than what you're making with us. And we understand that, and for many that have to, we're going to take that path. We want to celebrate your success, but what we have to offer here is a culture of a company that cares, that's trying to create a place for you to live, learn, grow, thrive, right? That we've got so many people in our organization that are just part of this culture, that really are trying to help people heal and make it better. It just, I think it makes a difference, and I can tell by the number of people that are not running off to take another job just because they can. I know that we're on the right track. I would.
Absolutely. And studies are out there that have shown that for many employees, it's not about the money, it's about the environment. And they will take a lesser paying job to get the right environment because they thrive in that right environment. And anything they learn in that environment can take them further. So sometimes, even in a career, and you know this, Betsy, sometimes you have to do a step back to go two steps forward. So
Sure.
all of us, even as we build in our career, we have to decide when is it time to take that step back to go that much further. And so we all, in some point or time, we should do it. I don't know if everybody does it, but I know certainly it's something I have done. I'm sure you've done it, right?
More than
And
more than once
exactly,
or twice.
exactly. But it's all about getting a particular nurturing to then go that much further. So we know there've enough studies to show us money is not the first thing that employees think about. So our challenge, especially on Employ to Innovate, which is all about how do you drive your company forward for growth with your number one assets, which are the employees. That
Mhm.
is always our message on Employ to Innovate. Your number one asset are your employees.
Yep.
Recognize that, understand their worth and their value, and then push your company forward based on that worth and value. And if you make your employees feel valuable, they tend to stay. And when they don't, you know why,
I
right?
agree. I agree 100%. Hey, Jen, can
Mhm.
we talk about the kind of the fourth leg of our company?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So,
Open that up.
so about 3 years ago, well,
Mhm.
3 years ago, we purchased um, the Clinton Community College dormitories that are right across the road from our main facility. And we have opened what is called the MHAB Life Skills Campus. It is a transitional housing project for people in early stages of recovery from substance use disorder, mental health challenges, domestic violence, poverty, homelessness, any of the societal ills, once again, in our community. We purchased the dormitories, and then there was a dining hall that we converted to a conference center and a recovery community center. So on our 10-acre campus, we have 2 dormitories where we're housing almost 100 people that are in early stages of recovery. On campus, we have embedded services for them. Everything from the Recovery Community Center that has peer resource counselors. It's open 12 hours a day. It's a walk-in community center for both residents on campus as well as people in the community that are in some form of recovery to come. It's a safe place to be where there are our peer resource counselors. There's activities, games, just a safe place for them to be, to come access all of the resources that our community has to offer. We've opened a convenience store where we have healthy foods that are prepared by people who both live on our campus, as well as people in recovery that are actually working to do services in the conference center, as well as providing food into the convenience store. We have a 24-hour fitness center that our residents all have access to that they can use. It's a state-of-the-art fitness center that they can use all the time. What this has done there's a couple of things that MHAB Life Skills Campus has done. One, because of where it's located, it's provided for many of the employers in our region, employees that are on the road to recovery, that can walk to their place of employment, because our campus is located in it's not an industrial park, but there are probably 30 employers within walking distance who have all good paying jobs that our employees can walk to. All of these businesses have agreed to hire our residents and to give them a chance, understanding that they come with some challenges that they're working through. It's provided a place to reduce the homelessness in our community. So in 2018, there was a point in time homelessness count that said that there were as many as 189 homeless people in our community. As of 2021, that number had dropped below 90. So we've cut our homelessness population down by more than 100 just in the 3 years that we've been open. We've helped more than 150 people transition, right, from a state of homelessness, poverty, despair, joblessness, early stages of recovery. We've helped them move into permanent housing, back with their families, employed, living independently. It's, what we're doing at the MHAB Life Skills Campus is really making a difference for our entire community, right? Because we've embedded services there, we've made it easy for people to get what they need to make it better.
Right? And you are spreading the wealth and the message, because now you've got other businesses willing to go out and do this and help you guys and hire these people and offer them the same opportunity. This is spectacular.
There are employers in our region that are doing what our company has done, partnering with probation and parole to invite probation and parole officers into their place of employment, so that their employee doesn't have to leave to go down to probation to meet their probation officer. They'll come and we have employers like us that are bringing counselors and medical health people into their places of business so that their employees can access services too. So this model of if you want your employees to live healthy, to be healthy, to have opportunities, we as employers have to do what we can to make it easy on our people. Life is hard enough.
You have a working model. Yeah. You have a working model. Like, do you believe, I know that, right, you've created a community right now, and you've used the word several times, and it's exactly what you've done. It's community. It really is. And it's, in the earlier days, that community came out of churches type of thing. But outside of even the church, you have created that community. And is it a model that is movable? Is it a model that can be picked up in another state, in another area, even if it's New York still, and be run, a company can run with it?
So I think so. I think that we had a couple of things going in our favor. Of all the things that, when Mike and I talk about this, we talk about what were the key things that caused this to make it work.
Right.
One, the founder, the spearhead of the MHAB Life Skills Campus is my business partner, Mike Carpenter, who is connected to the recovery community in a way that makes it all believable, right? His own success, 33 years in recovery. He's the face of the MHAB Life Skills Campus. He's a great public speaker. He's passionate about this work. He's passionate about recovery, and we've been reasonably successful in our business. And so, you put those two pieces together, somebody with a real connection through their own experience to recovery that's had some business success, and all of a sudden there's some foundation that makes it all seem possible, right?
And what if you don't have that connection and you just want to help? Do you feel that's truly a key part of success, is having that connection?
I will say that I do. I think that for people that are in recovery, right,
Mm-hmm.
from substance use disorder, mental illness, domestic violence, poverty, if you see someone who you believe has walked a similar path to yours and you see their success and you can identify with them,
Hmm.
I think that your chance of success is much greater,
Okay.
right? Because you don't just hear it from somebody, you
Yeah.
you actually see somebody who you go, oh yeah, he tells the story of what he's done, and that feels like that's something I can really identify with and I
Hmm.
can really connect with. For us, I think he was a key person in making the MHAB Life Skills Campus as successful as it was, as quickly as it was. Right? We
Hmm.
we had we had him. We had him as kind of the key. I think the key player. He
And
has.
he created that conduit of people coming in. He knew where to go to get the people to come in to really test the model, work the model, make it work. If they relapse, where they go. Like, he knew that whole.
Yeah. When he went to talk to government officials about
Mhm.
all of the hurdles we had to jump to make this project happen, he didn't have to say, I want to help people that are struggling with substance use disorder, drugs, or alcohol addiction. He raised his hand and he said, so look, you can't judge them without judging me because they are me.
Mhm.
Right? 33 years ago, any one of these people that we say we don't want them in our backyard, he goes, that was me. I was that person you didn't want in your backyard trying to get a chance to get their life together. And
Mhm.
here I am today. And you all think I'm this great businessman, but I once was all of these people.
Mhm.
And so his story allowed it to be very from both ends, right? From both
Right.
people that are in recovery and people that make decisions on whether or not a life skills campus or a recovery center should be or could be in
Mhm.
your community. There are many hurdles to overcome
And
to
he
allow
made it seem possible on both ends of the discussion. Both those that are suffering, they look to him and they go, it if I work hard, it's possible. And on the other side, if I take a chance, it's
It's
possible.
yes, that's 100. So I think that that's a
Mhm.
key component. Somebody has to be passionate about wanting to do this work, right? About wanting to change the paradigm of what homelessness can look like or despair can look like for people in recovery. They want to be passionate about, and they have to know that it can be better and that it can be different and that they want to walk the really tough steps to make it happen. And so I think that's so it is. I think it's possible, Jen, for this model to move, but it has to have somebody or an organization that truly believes in it. And
Yeah.
for us, what a better person to believe in it than somebody that's actually lived that life and found their way to the other side.
And has a vested interest too
Yes,
in
yeah, and
making
our
it
and our
successful.
company's foundational success is based on people that are in recovery. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be who we are. Our company needs these
Mhm.
people. So it is foundational to who we are.
And these are people that don't always get to hear that they're needed. And for you to even say that on this public forum, I think it's commendable to say, no, we need you.
Yep.
And you said earlier you had sent the message, we want you. Now you're saying we need you. And I think that's just, it's just a beautiful story all around. And Betsy, is there anything else you want to bring to the table and tell us before we wrap up, as we start to kind of wrap up and see where this goes? What other things do you want to bring to the table to be heard?
This, and I thank you, Jen, for bringing me on at the end of the year as we're moving into a 2022. After societally, we have had some of the two hardest years that I can, in my lifetime. The
We are living history.
we really are.
We are.
Uh,
And it isn't done yet, Betsy. I hate to tell you.
it's not done,
It's
but
not done.
just like every new year, there is a chance for us to change the narrative of what's happening in our
Yeah.
world, right? At
Yeah.
some point, we have to change the conversation. If we're going to change the mindset, we've got to change the opportunity. We have to do something
Mhm.
different. And so my, what I'm trying desperately to bring to the table for me, for my organization, for my team, is I want us to look to 2022. I want us to not have the same old conversations. I want us not to fight the same old battles. Let's find some new battles to fight, and let's see if we can just change where we are by creating some inertia,
Mhm.
by changing the narrative, change the conversation. And
That's exactly what it takes. It takes it takes a conversation, and it takes the parties in the conversation to separate, like never take anything personal, but be solution oriented
yeah,
coming into the conversation. What I commend you on and the organization on, Betsy, is that you found a means to plug into imperfect systems and create near perfect solutions, but not for money, not for anything, physical, but people,
yeah,
for hearts, for people, for families, for communities. And it's a way for a company to give back, truly, truly give back by truly, truly, truly embracing those that they may not necessarily always understand, but they support and they see as humans first before anything else. And that's the kind of world that I'd like to see start to form in 2022. So I'm there with you. You touched me when we talked. I
thank you.
think this conversation is so critical to be out there, um, to be heard, to be socialized, to be shared, right? And that's what I ask the audience. If they listen and they think of businesses that could, even their own employer, if they want the employer to learn about this and consider it, share the broadcast. But beyond that, just look at people as people first and not labels, and give people an opportunity, because that is a world, especially now as we go into inflationary times,
Mm,
could possibly lead to recession, and there's more changes coming down the pipe that we haven't even started to talk about or focus on, because we're so focused on the COVID and everything else, that I think, we're in for some more challenging years ahead in different ways and in new ways we never even fathomed. And I just hope I can continue to have these types of conversations and these types of, just exploration at companies that are trying different things and it's working. And even if it's imperfect, the fact that you even tried, it's commendable. So those are my thoughts on kind of where this conversation and what it means to me. And I'm glad to hear you kind of echo that.
thank you, Jen. We do believe that if we take care of the people, the business will take care of itself, right? And we as a community are only as strong as our weakest link. And so we have to care for that weakest link if we really want to grow our community. And we think we're in that we think our community is a really special place, not just
Mhm.
our business, but really our community is an incredibly special place. And we've created, I think, with the help of organizations like ours and the
Mhm.
MHAP project, that we've created the foundation for something really, really, really authentic and really cool to happen, to make our entire community better, right?
Yeah, so you should be proud, Betsy. And I think you've proven that when you talked about even the homeless numbers, where it was and where it is today. So I think you've proven that you are indeed making a dent, right? In some of those just astronomical numbers that were there years ago.
Yep.
So you are making a dent, and you should be so proud. And I know that you take that very humbly, which I respect so much. But you should be proud, as well as all of your staff who are going through their day to day dealing with whatever they're dealing with should look in the mirror and just be proud as well. And, I am proud of them and I've never met them. And
Well, you're welcome to come by anytime. I'd
I,
love for you to meet our people. They're very cool. You'd love
I
it.
do plan on at some point when this whole COVID thing is over, I do want to come and see the center and just embrace it, because I think it's one of those things that will change a person. And I consider myself a deep thinker and reflector on life, but I think even that would change me in very deep ways that I certainly would love to embrace. So thank you so much,
Thank
Betsy,
you.
for your time together. I've enjoyed the conversation. I could talk to you for hours.
And we'd have a good time doing
Oh,
it,
we
didn't
have
we,
a
Jen?
good
Yeah,
time.
we
I'm
would.
gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bring you on again, and maybe with some other business owners too who are looking to explore how can they help. I'll try and see if I can pull something together. But I would love to have you again. But I really want to thank you so much for your time. Before you leave, I really want people to understand that Betsy's not just saying this, like she is living a life of servitude. She really is. Betsy is like she's the chair of the University of the Vermont Health Network at CVPH Board of Trustees. She's a trustee of Clinton Community College Board of Directors. She's a member of the Plattsburgh Noon Rotary Club, MC and committee member of Girl Scouts of the North Country Women of Distinction Dinner Event, and panel moderator for the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber Celebration of Women in Business. I didn't call out all of those things in the opening introduction, but I think it's important, certainly for me, that the audience recognizes she is truly a female of heart, a mother, a matriarch of the community, and she holds it dearly, strongly, and committed. And trust me, she's a busy lady. So how she fits all of that in, I get it. But some people be wondering how she do all of that. That's why I wanted to call it out, because she should be commended. So once again, Betsy, thank you for the time together. And on that note, we will bid a farewell.
Thank you, Jen.
And happy new year, and continued happy holidays to everyone. And I'm wishing everyone a wonderful 2022, but make it a point to think about how do you count in 2022 in your own life of servitude, rather than the me approach. What can we give back to those that need? Because there are far more people needing today than ever before. And certainly my history, and some of them are doing it in silence. And we've got to take a part to lean our hands out and say, we will take your hand and move you forward if we can. We have a responsibility to do that. That's my belief. So, on that note, thank you once again. And we are out of here until our next month broadcast. Ciao for now.